All we got, and we know that. Right. You say you about your people, alright, come on and show that. Not for publicity, really go where they don't end. Leave some footprints if you got the go dance. For every woman, child, man, we gotta rap. Life goes so fast on the gas and step. One day you be gone, your offspring will be left. If we don't take a stand, what you think gon' happen next? Cause we all we got, and we know that. You say you about your people, alright.
At the turn of the century, in 1999, 4 officers killed Amadou Diallo. He was a West African brother. Didn't have a criminal record. They shot 41 times, hitting him 19. He was 23 years old, and they said he had a gun, which later turned out to be his wallet. All the overseers were acquitted of second-degree murder charges. There's an interesting article that I came across called Beyond Trayvon by Janae Desmond Harris, and it's published on theroot.com. Now this was published, June 8th, 2013, and I'm just going to name off a few names. You can go read their stories. Irvin Jefferson, Patrick Dorisman, Timothy Stansbury Jr., Sean Bell, Orlando Barlow, Aaron Campbell, Victor Steen, Stephen Eugene Washington, Alonzo Ashley, Wendell Allen, Ronald Madison and James Brissett, Travis McGill, and getting more recently, Ramarley Graham. His name should still be fresh in our people's minds, or perhaps not. In 2012, I'm reading the article here. In 2012, Officer Richard Hayes shot and killed 18-year-old Ramarley Graham in his bathroom. This was in the Bronx. He was gunned down in his own bathroom. We know about Oscar Grant, Oakland, California, and now there's Mike Brown in Ferguson. I never even heard of Ferguson, I'm not gonna lie, but I doubt I'll forget that name based on what's going on there right now. Another unarmed so-called black man being shot down and murdered by so-called police. The people began to demonstrate, and they were met with police terrorism and all-out war on the community. Now, some people might say, well, that's an exaggeration. It's not all-out war. At least at the time of this recording, it's martial law. Martial law, whether you want to call it that or not. But for those that don't believe people when they say that it's all-out war on our community, I can't show you what it looks like, but I can show you what it sounds like. This is how Ferguson sounded a couple of nights ago.
Throw that shit back!
Fucking stop! Stop it now!
Throw that shit back! That's right! Throw that shit back! Fuck the police! Fuck the police! Throw that shit back! Who gives a fuck?
The world is watching!
Fall back!
Peacefully protesting! You're violating our rights! This shit is real!
Yes, brothers and sisters, this is taking place on American shores in a little town called Ferguson, located in Missouri. It's so real, like the sister said on the tape, that people from Gaza are texting people in Ferguson, telling them how to deal with tear gas, the effects of tear gas. This is in a community that is 3/4 so-called black. with a police force that's 90% so-called white. Right now, as I'm recording this show, they are imposing a curfew. The article of Fox News says that there are 7 arrested, 1 shot as police use tear gas on protesters defying Ferguson curfew. Now, I can guarantee you that if that's what's being reported by Fox News, there's a whole lot more going on over there. And all you have to do is search through your Facebook, and you won't have to search very hard. There's going to be all kinds of videos that you won't believe. I mean, I was totally flabbergasted at what I saw being perpetrated in Ferguson. So I wanted to do this show, but not only for what's going on in Ferguson and Mike Brown, but out here in Los Angeles, there's a case that's not dissimilar to Mike Brown's case. In fact, it's not dissimilar to any of the cases where so-called black men have been gunned down by the Roman forces. And unfortunately, brothers and sisters, there's going to be a name after that. And there's always going to be that name until we get it together. Until we put an end to this. And we'll never get it together, brothers and sisters, as long as these buffoons and known snitches and informants, such as Reverend Al Sharpton and Trilateral Commission Jesse Jackson, and whoever else comes upon the scene. And then they're going to bring the money, and they're going to divide the people. What the last poets describe as passing out lollipops to pacify your black power farts. We have to be real with this. Not only will they try to divide the people with money, as they have been successful in the past, but they are definitely going to come to the family. And they're going to offer the family some money, and or explain to them that, hey, if these officers can get off, you'll win and get paid in the civil suit. And this has been the pattern that has been taking place after these murders by so-called police of unarmed so-called black men in this country. It's unfortunate, but this has been the pattern. I've yet to see someone pass up the money or pass up whatever coercion or duress that's behind the scene. And when they start to come out and telling you, hey, we're going to handle it inside the courts, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and they get up in their head and say, well, you can't bring your son back. He would want you to have this and he would want you to have that. And I've worked with, I'm not going to mention any names, some people that have been in similar situations. And this is the type of stuff that they do. Let's just be honest. Are we ready to withstand that? Are we ready to say, hey, all right, you might be satisfied, but we as a people are not? Can they stop that momentum? We have to look at it in the context of the big picture. Right now in Ferguson, it's Mark Brown, and it's getting plenty of attention because they're kicking up some dust over there. They're fighting back. They're standing up. You have reports of Bloods and Crips uniting. We see all the conscious organizations from the Moors to the Nation of Islam to the RBG coming together in support. But understand this, at the rate that it is taking place, you have what's going on in Ferguson. You have Ezel Ford out here in Los Angeles. Tomorrow, New York. Tomorrow, Chicago. We keep dying. And there's no way that we can have enough protests. And there's no way that we can deal with this on a case-by-case basis. We need a national agenda. We have to come together nationally and address all of these issues together. We need to circle our wagons and stop squandering our time and our energy with individual protests. Do the individual protests, but we have to have a national agenda. And this is the only way that we're going to be able to put an end to this. We have to do what we're doing, in our respective regions, but we have to get this national agenda going. This is the key. The only way we're going to get free is dealing with this so-called nation as a nation. There's no other way, because they have us divided 7 ways from Sunday based on religion, politics, class, and we have to be willing to give that up. And we're in bad shape when it comes to that. I still hear phrases like good hair and, oh nigga, you don't know nothing. And Willie Lynch is more like revolutionary folklore. Nobody believes that it's real. But it happens every day. Whether somebody forged it or wrote it or made it up, it describes the condition of our people to a T. So it's relevant. Now here we have opportunity to put it all aside and to actually do it. Now, brothers and sisters, as Moors, we know we have a nationality and we have a national agenda. And we know the Noble Jew Ali told us about these times. He said, one day the European is going to let you down. You're going to have to put up 90-day supply of food and last until your brothers come to your rescue from the east. Now you say, the brothers come and rescue you from the east. East of what? That's debatable. But if you say from the east part of the United States, or whether you say the east, our Arabian brothers and sisters. But I find it interesting that, like I said earlier, you have brothers and sisters in Gaza texting people in Ferguson and teaching them how to deal with tear gas. I say that's some kind of rescue right there already taking place. He also said, one day the Europeans are going to lock up the food in the warehouses and put soldiers around them to guard them. And you will go anywhere he says to get something to eat. This is Noble Jew Ali telling us this. And this is in the book Oral Statements and Prophecies of Prophet Noble Jew Ali, founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. He also said that when the destruction comes, he's going to leave enough fine buildings so that his good Moors will be able to enjoy them. And if you couldn't picture destruction before, just think about those sounds you heard earlier going down in Ferguson. Brothers and sisters, get prepared. But don't just get prepared. Stay prepared. Because you never know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. And we can see that things are developing very fast in these days and time. If there was ever a time for unity, now is the time. The divisionalism must cease in order for us to be able to come together and be the nation that we are. Noble Jew Ali told us he brought us something that we can shout about. And now is the time to shout it Now is always the time. Time is but finite duration, and now is its essence. Brothers and sisters, we need to be out there shouting the truth. We know why so-called black people are being murdered, brutalized, and taken advantage of. But because we know that mere fact does not make it justified, we're here to uplift fallen humanity. And there is no more humanity more fallen than the so-called Negroes, blacks, and colors here in North America. It's time to cast off these slave labels and return to the way of our forefathers. The spirit is there, and I support it wholeheartedly. And then after the smoke settles, then we need to be able to govern ourselves. Now keep this in mind, brothers and sisters are out there in the streets. Do what you have to do. But afterwards, we're going to have to govern ourselves, regardless of the state of affairs that's happening around us. And what are we going to govern according to? Now as a Moorish American, I already know what I'm going to govern according to. And I'm sure that most Moors know what we're going to govern according to. We were given a constitution and bylaw. We have the government in place. We must let our brothers and sisters know what we have and demonstrate. Now don't get me wrong. There's no magic wand. But what we have is real. And it's tied to history. And it's in your blood. It's in your genes. And it's your birthright. That's what you've been fighting for all this time. And just don't know it. The right to reclaim and know the history that they blotted out. So that we can demonstrate our true selves. The power to determine our own destiny, self-determination, sovereignty. All of these terms are terms that are describing the same thing, civil rights. Now, I'm not saying that these are synonymous, but when people use them, though they may use them erroneously, they are intending to express the thought that they wish to be able to govern themselves and be free. Free from white supremacy, free from caste slavery, free from exploitation, free from brutality, terrorism, and murder. How can we say we're united and we don't have a national name that is accepted by us all? All nations have a national name that is accepted by all. They may have tribes, they may have family names, but they also possess one national name. And that national name is tied to their true history. Every nation has a nationality, and we are a stateless people. And we never stop to think that that might have something to do with why we are treated differently from everyone else. Now, for those that are of the opinion that the only way that we can redress the situation that is in front of us today is through the court system, Like Marcus Garvey said, you'll walk between now and eternity and never see the problem solved. Because Noble Jew Ali told us Moors that the European were not going to give up until he looked death in the face. But there's no need for despair, because we are also informed by Noble Jew Ali that it doesn't matter the way things look like they're going. It's all going to end up in the Asiatics' hands. The situation can't get any better because they will not stop killing our brothers and sisters. If they were going to stop, they would have stopped already. It's not forthcoming. So you have to take all the knowledge that you have right now and be ready to apply it and be ready to share it. So brothers and sisters, stockpile that food. Maintain physical fitness and good health, good eating habits. And maintain the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in your heart. Peace, love, and all the above. And as this is Marcus Garvey Weekend,